another way that you can do some sidechaining with no plugins at all.
Oh, yeah.
This is how you sidechain with no plugins at all.
Yo, welcome to another episode of the Larry Ohh Show. My co-host to the left of me, as always.
What's going on, y'all? It's John Phelps.
I'm Larry Ohh. This is at FL Studio Podcast, where we talk about FL Studio and everything music production related.
What else?
Every single week, we give away every single one of my courses to 5 people in the comments here on YouTube. All you have to do to enter that contest is comment the keyword or the key phrase down in the comment section here.
That's right.
On YouTube.
Run over to YouTube, drop the comments, let us know you're listening.
And as you've seen from the title, we're talking about sidechaining today. Also, today's a big episode. I want to talk about a couple different things, but today's a big episode because this is episode number 52.
Come on.
And if my math is correct, there's 52 weeks in a year. So that means we do an episode every week. So that means that
by 52 weeks.
Josh, the editor, could put like some like crazy math problems going on. Like, exactly. If my math is correct, it's been a year since we started the podcast. How crazy is that, bro?
Man? Come on.
How fast can these years go by?
Consistency is key right there.
Ridiculous. Yeah, we haven't missed an episode. I did one episode when I was at NAMM, and then other than that, like that's pretty much it. But didn't miss a week.
Come on. Talking about consistency, talking about numbers.
And consistency for the people watching and listening. Like, I see people showing up in the comments constantly.
Yes.
I want to say thank you guys. I wouldn't have, kept on doing this if it wasn't for you and the feedback that we've gotten over the last year. It's been awesome.
That's love, yo, for real.
Found a new passion of mine. I feel like, doing this podcast thing.
Yeah.
I love talking about FL, so I figured, why not like jump into this thing and
that's right.
We hit the ground running real quick, and it's been a year already. So I just want to say thank you, John, for being on here with me and co-hosting and helping me out.
You already know. You already
appreciate that.
We running it up. You know what I'm saying?
So with that being said, I'm not going to do anything crazy. Just wanted to acknowledge that. I think like on the 100th episode, I feel like that's the episode like we plan now. We're a little over halfway there.
Yeah.
Plan for something like big on that 100th episode.
Yeah, be on the lookout. And if y'all got any interesting ideas, be sure to, let us know, because we're always paying attention. We're always listening. We try to be on top of all that. So if you got any requests, if you got any guest requests or content or any ideas, come on, tap in. You already know.
Yeah, I really want to up the guest portion of this podcast again. Like, I know we were doing a guest like almost every other week or something like that. I want to get back to that format. Because I think it's just so dope to get other producers' perspectives.
For sure,
Talk about their come up, their journey, their gems, their tips and tricks.
Yeah, talking to Infinite last week was insane.
Yeah, that was a good
one.
That
was amazing, bro. And I was listening to a bunch of his beats after that, and I was like, this dude is incredible. So just be able to chop it up with producers that are doing their thing is really important and really dope. So
yeah, and we did a massive giveaway for that one. We did, and it was like later in the episode. So if you missed that one, go back and watch it, because like I said, we give away 5, we give 5 producers every single one of my courses. Last week we did that, but we did 10. And not only did we give the courses away, but Infinite supplied one of his packs for 10 producers as well. So if you missed that, go back and watch it. The winners may or may not have been announced already. So go check it out. Check the pinned comments. We shall see. But yeah, I wanted to talk about sidechaining today.
Always.
Maybe I feel like we've dabbled here and there. Maybe even have shown some things, but I wanted to do like somewhat of a deep dive into sidechaining.
Absolutely.
Why we should
stylistically, from everything from like a functioning like audio engineering perspective to an absolute stylistic choice. This is absolutely something that you need to have in your arsenal. Sidechaining.
Yep. And it's not even saying like you have to use it in every single song.
Nope.
Not one of these tricks or tips, anything that we've shown and talked about on the podcast. There's very, very few that you have to do in every single session. These are really, because it always comes up in conversation when I talk about sidechaining, and it's like, oh, I don't need to sidechain. You don't have to sidechain.
You don't have to do anything.
A tool that you have in your toolbox, in your tool belt. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so I have the beat that I pulled up maybe from, I think a couple of weeks ago, just to get things rolling and not have to like create things from scratch, just to show some sidechaining techniques. But why do you sidechain? There's a couple of different reasons. One of the main reasons that I like to sidechain is for mixing purposes, especially when it comes to kick and 808 relationship.
It's a mixing trick. That's getting your bass to match with your kicks.
Yeah.
If you want that kick to hit extra hard, you got to use sidechaining.
Yep. And it's mainly because kicks and 808s are, you know, those transients, especially like right at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you have a kick, most kicks are bottom heavy, 808s or bass, any sort of bass instrument you use, bottom heavy. So it's like what's going to happen is you're going to clash in those frequencies.
Right.
You're going to have muddiness. You're going to have distortion. It's going to sound odd. It's going to sound like your kick is not hitting hard enough.
Right. And some people might be like, oh, why don't I just go ahead and EQ around? The only thing about that is you might be getting rid of a bunch of frequencies that you do like in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So with the side chaining, you're just ducking it completely out, making some room, bringing it back, at least in the mixing context. So So what do you want to side chain to what in this beat?
I think I'll just do a kick. I don't if I have a kick on here, I'll show. If I don't have, that's just the regular bass. This
We got a little 808 joint.
Yeah, and I think it's just the spins that has a punchy sort of transient to it. But I can put a kick in there just to show.
For sure.
Like what we're talking about here.
And this is how you might use side chaining to improve the mix of your bottom end rhythm section. So your kicks in relation to your sub bass or your 808. There are some instances where you would use side chaining for like a stylistic thing.
Yeah.
Like
and we'll get into that.
And we'll definitely get in. We got to get into that too.
Yeah. Because I feel like, I know I said like one of the main reasons I use side chaining is for like the mixing purposes. But the first time I ever really got introduced and researched is because I wanted that pulsating effect.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how you get it.
Pulsating effect is such a marker in the EDM world. Like the first time, you never forget the first time you heard a side chained like thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as a listener who's maybe just getting into beats at first, you might not even know what that is called. So this is going to be the episode that if you're trying to learn about this technique, you gotta watch. You gotta watch what comes next because it's important. It's so important.
So what I'm doing here is just matching the kick to the 808 pattern, and I sent this kick to the mixer, and I also like to bring this in and shift it over, and then just so it's next to the kick and the 808, just so they're next to each other.
I like to put them right next to each other because you can kind of see the relationship between the two of them like very, very easily.
Yep. And I always wonder this, but I think it's because I'm not full screen is why I don't have my stereo separation knobs.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. Yeah, because
Right?
I was going to say, you want to send it mono, right? And we don't even have that. Where's it
Yeah,
at?
but like I'm on extra large.
Large.
And I feel like
charge.
There
it is. What was it hidden?
It was this
somewhere?
button. There's a button that turns those on or off.
Oh.
View extra volume and stereo properties.
There we go.
For some reason, that's off.
There's
But
a little micro
I like to
right
just
there.
create a little bit more space by making the 808 and kick mono. Most of the time, not every time. Do you have to do it? No, you don't have to do it. Most of the time, especially when I got a lot going on in the stereo field, just clean up a little bit of space. That, for me, doesn't have to have any stereo properties for it to sound great.
Yeah.
You know?
Send it right up the middle.
Yep. So I'll go to like my go-to way of sidechaining. By the way, there's different reasons you should sidechain, and there's also different ways you can sidechain. So just like everything else in FL. But I will go to the kick,
For real.
and then I'll highlight the kick in the mixer. So that's highlighted. That's yellow, greenish. I'll go over to that 808, which is right here. Yep. And then I'll right click that arrow, hit sidechain to this track, go back to that 808 track. We got the Fruity Limiter on there already. And we're going to put it on the compressor and then go to sidechain 1 because that's the only thing that we have sidechain to it. If you have multiple sidechains, you'll go through that, or you can right click and see what you actually have sidechained in the mixer. It'll tell you.
Dope.
So you can choose the kick. And then there's another kick that I probably had earlier on in the session, but we're going to go with sidechain 1 because that's the new kick that we just put in there. And then to get this thing going, you're going to really focus on the threshold and the ratio. Picture this as like, I mean, you can see what's going on. Like if I reset those. So right now we got almost nothing going on, but if I pull this threshold down, you can see this line, and that's going to give you a guide as far as like how far down the kick is going to turn down, the kick is going to trigger the 808 to turn down in volume. Essentially what you're doing is you're turning down the volume of the 808 just the amount of time that the kick lasts. So that way it sounds seamless in this example. So play around with the threshold, and then the ratio is going to give like how strong of a sidechain that's going to be. Picture that as like a mix knob almost. Like if I put this up, you're going to see both of those. I got to probably put more and go to pattern. And then the attack, I want that all the way down and the fastest attack you can possibly have, because I want that to trigger right away. Right when those transients hit, I want it to happen right away. And release is kind of like self-explanatory. It's how fast you want that to come off. So you can see it's a very narrow, like purple triangle looking thing right here. And that if I turn this up, it's going to be a lot longer of a release. And it's given that pulsating effect, which is what I just explained earlier.
Giving more center room to your bass or your kick.
Yep. And that doesn't sound natural. If we want it to sound like one sample combined, you want a nice tight, faster release. Let's give it a listen. And if you want more, pull the threshold down. You can see that got a little bit deeper right there. And you can put the ratio up if you want it a little bit stronger as well. That's almost sounding like a little unnatural, so bring it back up. I don't want to hear like any of that pulsating, so I might pull the release in a little bit too, make it a little bit quicker. So to me right now, that sounds like it's one sample.
Yeah.
Like it sounds pretty consistent. You can give it a listen in the mix. I did miss a kick. It's just that one pattern. So that's one way to sidechain. The other way is with the Fruity Peak controller. Essentially, it's the same idea of chaining these two tracks together, and you're putting the Fruity Peak controller. And what you're doing is you're going to right-click on this knob right here on the actual 808, because that's going to be the thing that gets turned down, right? Right-click on the fader. This is the reason why I don't really like this one, because you're essentially like, I don't like to mess with that fader. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want to do that later on, now that it kind of messes it up, and in order to do that, and in order to like adjust the volume, you have to go into the Fruity Peak controller and then adjust like the baseline of where it is. And it's like a pain in the ass to me.
It is, and if you haven't completely settled on the dynamic mixing of all the elements, you can kind of like paint yourself into a little bit of a corner with that method. I feel like.
I don't like to. It's like automating a fader to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
it doesn't work for me. But you know.
But you hit link to controller there.
Boom.
And then you're gonna hit peak control peak. I don't do this often, so I gotta like look at things. I don't do this.
Going down the lane.
That's why I don't use this one. I don't use this. Then you hit accept. Oh no, you gotta hit invert. Where is it? You gotta hit inverted as well. Make sure you do Fruity Peak controller peak, and then over here you have to make sure that you choose inverted and then accept. And then you can see that thing just shot right up because we don't have like a baseline set. And I think it's this bass. See how that's going to bring that fader down? That's what I was saying a few minutes ago, was like, if you want to control the overall volume of that 808, now you have to come back and mess with this. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's stupid to me.
Yeah, I could see this being effective for like if you have like a vocal performance that isn't necessarily music. Like if you have to have a vocal that has a dynamic within like an audio mix of something, like an audio book with sounds in the background or something. I could see that where like if you have an audio book where like you're describing like a wilderness and there's a sound in the background, you kind of want things to duck around, but like that maybe is a little bit more of a thing than in like the mixing a beat type thing. Yep. I'm like, I don't know if I like the idea of my mixers bumping up and down.
But some producers swear by this technique. And the only thing that I can see, the argument that I can see is when you do it this way, you are actually affecting the volume of the sound. Whereas when you're doing it with the limiter and the compressor, you're compressing it to a point where it's ducking the volume down.
Yes.
Does it give you that much of a difference in sound? I don't think so. Right now I got the limiter turned off.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to the Fruity Peak controller. And then to dive into it a little bit further, you're really gonna just be focusing on these orange knobs right here. So the bass is where you want that fader to sit naturally all the time. And then the volume is gonna be how much volume dips down when it does trigger the kick. And then the tension is like, just think of like a tension
release. Tension
inside of the, like an automation clip per se. And then decay, how long it lasts. So think about that as attack and release. You know what I'm saying? Like if I want that to come down further or less, like see how much it's barely doing anything? If I want that thing to come all the way down.
That's crazy. It's just jumping like that.
It looks wild.
Yeah.
But it gives the same effect pretty much as the limiter. And then the tension. You can see how that kind of just gave him a little curve right there.
Yep.
And the curve goes the other way. So now you can physically see what it's doing. It's going to ramp up in. But I want that straight. Think about that as, like I just said, like the attack. Think of that as the attack, and the decay is the release.
So what's technically happening is there are two frequencies that are fighting for the same space at the same time. And so you're cutting the signal on one to give more room to the other. And so in theory, another way that you can do some sidechaining with no plugins at all.
Oh, yeah.
This is how you sidechain with no plugins at all.
Tell them.
Slice out a tiny little bit of the bass when the kick hits and loop that up.
Slice and dice it.
Slice and dice it.
But to do that, you'd probably have to like
do a little 16-bar loop, go in.
And you'd have to make it an audio clip.
Yeah, you'd have to make it an audio
or
clip. Good old-fashioned audio, baby.
Or
hell yeah.
I'm getting an idea now. So I'll show you those.
The piano roll joint.
You could essentially like, so go to your 808, right? And if you don't want to like convert and like consolidate all your 808s to audio, you could adjust the sample start time to get rid of the transient, but that's still, it's not doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
But I would the spins has a transient in it.
Yeah.
So you could adjust that start time a little bit, but you're still going to have that initial impact.
It's going to hit at the same time. Yeah. What slicing it completely out would do is it just takes the center stage completely for the kick. You know what I'm saying? And it might be like a little bit more niche. It might be more of like a specialized sound that you're going for. But just breaking down elementally, like what's happening there is like two signals are fighting for space. You're cutting the presence of one out to give the other one the attention. And you can technically do that without a plugin, which is the best part. Like
I'm just bouncing it right now in audio.
Oh, it's taking a grip.
Because I chose the whole song like an idiot. I literally did the whole song. It's 2 minutes and 42 seconds.
Next episode, we're gonna have this beat ready for you. So
this will export by
New Year's
Day.
New Year's
Well,
Day.
I'm thinking about that, but I'm thinking this episode is probably gonna come out around then.
Yeah. Yeah. And Happy New Year.
2026.
The ball drop. Beep boop.
All right, so let me go in here and I'm gonna mute that so that way we don't get the double signal.
Look at
and then
that.
we have audio. And then what you're gonna do, printed some of the original, but like you get the idea here.
Yeah.
You're gonna slice and dice. And like, is that very tedious? Yes, but if you're doing hip hop stuff and it's very repetitive,
Yes.
it's not gonna be a huge deal because then you can just loop it up.
Right. You make like an 8-bar joint and it just sounds like you wouldn't have stumbled across this sound without doing it this way.
Yeah.
That's the blessing. Like that's the beauty of making music. Like you can just, whew.
Yep.
Some of my favorite beats.
And you literally just slice and dice the beginning transients.
Absolutely. Some of my favorite beats, some of my favorite art that I've created has been when like I just did something maybe the incorrect quote unquote way, or like the tedious way, but you do it a certain way, and like it just the quality, something comes from it, man. And what's cool about this is like, if you don't necessarily understand plugins or you don't understand like how the signal is kind of being manipulated, this is a clear-cut way to see like what exactly is happening and what it sounds like.
Yep.
You could turn
You might
on
get
that
some
little,
clicks and pops.
That bleed right there, that generic bleed.
You could do the generic bleeding, or you can do that little guy.
Yo. You can get those consistently. See, that's crazy. I can't.
It's years of training in high school English class. Pissing the teachers off.
Yo, who the fuck is doing that?
So you might get a pulsating effect, and that means that we just did a little bit too much. So I'm going to highlight them all and then just drag them. This is essentially what we were doing in those plugins, but we're seeing it, and we're doing it manually.
That's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And also, like, when you do it like this, man, now just see, this is what's crazy about like audio. Just seeing this makes me want to reverse an 808 for some reason, because I can physically see it.
You can see it.
So I'm gonna like, I just want to like take one down and
pass it around.
Yep. 99 808s on the wall.
99 ways to sidechain.
For real. Yeah. There really is, bro. That song, I don't know if that song stood the test of time, or if that's just like showing my age right now.
99 bottles of, hey, let's go.
Right?
And that's a sidechain, brother. If I ever heard one, hey, yo.
It's weird, but crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's banging. And what's the damnedest thing is, if you put that kick drum sample like underneath that, it would change your brain another way, because you'd see like the hit of the kick, and you could like
oh, you mean if you print the kick too?
Yeah.
That would be, I was just doing it a little fast.
For sure.
But yeah, I would really suggest you printing the kick as well.
Yeah.
I knew in my head that I could get away with doing it quick right now, just like not doing the kick, but doing the 808. Because that's what I'm gonna be peeling anyways. But see, like putting things on audio, bro, it just gives me different ideas.
Yeah.
I talk about this all
That's
the time.
why I love working with audio for that reason. It's just whew. I'm having a hard time thinking of what our keyword for today might be.
Yeah, we might be pretty much there already,
You know
bro.
what
Like
I'm
let's do it. Let's do it.
What could it be?
Sidechain? Sidechain? Yeah, drop sidechain down in the comments here on YouTube, and you are automatically entered to win every single one of my FL Studio courses from YouHelpMe.com.
Sheesh.
5 winners pinned in the comments every single week. Stay tuned
Drop
for more
a comment.
episodes.
Even if you're not guessing a keyword, drop a comment. Let us know you listening.
Yep.
Give us compliments. It makes us feel good.
I think we probably hit every sidechain topic, right?
Well, we could get into sidechaining melodies.
Oh,
how you could give it like a lo-fi feel to things using
yeah.
sidechain. You could use a sidechain effect to make sort of a lo-fi warble on certain elements. In your beat.
let me show like that, like since it's kind of easy to cook something up like that real quick. Like that EDM style, like pulsating.
Yeah.
A couple different ways you could do it. You could do it with gross beat. It has that I'm talking about that 4 on the floor type thing. But if you want it to follow a certain kick pattern, you have to do it, you have to do it like this. Like we just showed you. One of those 3 techniques that we showed you with the fruity limiter, the peak controller, or just the manual doing it like that. But if you want just the 4 on the floor and you want that the entire way through, something like, I think it's called Kickstart. You ever heard of that plugin, Kickstart? I think by like Nick Ramiro. It's a plugin that's been around for a long time, and I think those are just meant for like 4 on the floor type things. But I'm just gonna, I guess, find some sort of melody. Why not? I'll do something like this real quick because I can. I'm going to send that to the mixer. Man, the loops in here are so good. I swear every time I drop a loop in from here, it's good.
Slow that down for me. Make it like 123. We're gonna get into a nice little lounge pocket here. Watch out. Now, can you type tempos in yet?
Type them in?
Yeah, can you type those in yet?
Yeah.
Like 1, 2, 3?
No, you always could.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, you just type in value.
There you go.
Yep. You can type in, you can tap it in, you can just choose one from a preset list here. You can go half speed. Never done that before. You can link that to a controller. You can create an automation clip on that. Tons of different things you can do.
Come on.
Like we go 4 on the floor.
That's another thing I've always like noticed. I've had to do that too. That's the same exact thing when you drop an audio in first, and then it'll automatically be on pattern 1.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
You know what I do? My trick is I scroll up,
And
scroll
go-
down.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
I don't know why. I don't know why. Because it's just remembering that the last thing you touched was the audio clip.
Yep. And
You know
you
what I
can, there's like a quick little command that you can do, but I always just go and fly it up.
Yep.
Like a little Zorro move.
Yep. Yeah, it's just my go-to. There's like little things that I do. And then there's this other thing that I do. Like I say, if I want this to be double the length and I don't want it to be just a 4-count pattern, I'll go here, put that here, and then go
open
and
it.
then do that. I don't know why. Is there a way around it? I haven't even just like.
I do the same thing though.
Do you?
If I want to make like a 16 bar drum loop, I'm going all the way to the end and then I'm filling in the blanks. Yeah.
Because if you don't and you do fill in each step like that, it's only going to do it to the point where it's highlighted.
Yeah.
But if you put one here randomly and then go fill in each 4 steps, this might be a vibe.
Oh, 123 is a great pocket for this kind of feel, because it's just like a good way to either get a party started or get a vibe going. It's never abrasive at 123. We gotta sample the mics at some point during like one of these videos, one of these podcasts. We gotta just straight up like live feed one of the mics in and make beats with our voices. Boots and cats in. We call that boots and cats, brother. Or booncha. Booncha, booncha. Hey. Skibbity toilet.
All right.
All right, so keyword, right? We talked about it briefly, but it's sidechain, y'all. So tap in.
So like if I want that real drastic pulsating effect, that EDM style dance, give that rhythm, just create that vibe instantly, we're just gonna do the same thing. Like I would just sidechain here.
Quick, easy,
and
bow.
I would put it on just in case I want to go somewhere different with the kick pattern. I know that it's going to follow whatever I do kick wise. Whereas if you use a gross beat, and I'll show you that too, if you use a gross beat, and then you would go to that side chain or the orange volume section and you choose, where is it? Side chain. That's essentially what we're doing here. And I think I put it on the kick. Like a dum-dum.
Heated.
It would be the opposite. You'd put it on the kick because I'm putting that on the shebang. Side chain.
And it works. It definitely works.
But it's not going to follow. If you change that kick pattern up, it's not going to change with it. It's going to stay 4 on the floor. So side chain.
Side chain. The
Limiter.
episode we got sidetracked.
Yep.
Hey.
You have more control over this too. I mean, yeah, you could go into that envelope inside a gross beat and mess with the tension and all that. You can definitely do it, but I feel like, again, you just have more control. And then, like, for instance, I'll show you, like, this beat might call for something like that where it has some sort of drum switch up. And maybe it goes halftime, you know? And we do something like that. You know, just picture that this is a little bit more structured out, but just for the purpose of this video. Imagine us having like a big transition that leads up to it, you know what I'm saying? But that drastic sidechain is going to follow it because we use the limiter method right here.
Nice. Hell yeah. Chill.
You know what I'm saying? See, it pulsates only when the kick hits. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
And then back into it. Double time to halftime drums or real time to halftime, however you want to call it, because I know there's always an argument about that too. But yeah, sidechain.
Sidechaining, man. That's the episode for real.
That's
Y'all got a lot to work off of, and I think, like we said earlier, this isn't a trick that you need to implement into every beat. Now, I think that there are certain like genres, like with EDM, where it's like pretty much a part of the sound to have like the bass locked in with the kick and have that feel to it. But if you're making trap stuff at home and all that, like, you don't always got to be doing too much, but it definitely helps to have these sorts of like tricks in your pocket and to at least know, okay, I want this kick to hit harder though. This is definitely one of the ways to do that. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like implementing it in different genres too, like, because I learned it from getting into EDM stuff a little bit, and then I took that. That's why it's so cool to learn different genres and what they do, because, you know, I'd run across different producers that didn't, and I didn't know at first, but like once I started to dive into different genres like EDM and all the subgenres inside of EDM, I realized that there's all these different mixing techniques, because mixing is a huge part of electronic music, and there's tons of different techniques that you learn doing that, and you can implement into other genres and create different vibes, you know, just from different mixing and effects and those kinds of techniques. So I think it's huge to just try things out. A lot of this stuff you may have known, some of it you may not have, but I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. If you got anything you want to drop, plug, talk about.
You sidechain me. No, I think that's about it for me, honestly. I feel like that, that's smooth. That's about all we could say about it on the subject. If we left anything out, here's what I'm curious about. If anybody in the comments knows like another way to do any of the techniques that we've been, drop it in the comments. Let us know, because hey, maybe we might jack your style. we might be like, hey, this is a concept we came up with.
For real. So with that being said, please, if you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, share this with a friend if you get me.